Hey, welcome to the Ledger's 10-minute drill. My name is Brandt Merritt, filling in this week for host Mike Cobb. And joining me today to talk a little golf is the Ledger's outdoors and golf writer, Del Milligan. Del, thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure. I'm always happy to talk golf, especially on U.S. Open week.
Yeah, well, let's get right into it. That's the big topic this week is the U.S. Open. It's the 2008 Open, starts Thursday at the Torrey Pines South Course in California. And Del, I think the big topic this week will, at least starting out, be Tiger Woods. It's his first tournament back since having knee surgery in April. And he's been through this before. He's missed some time to have a knee surgery. And I really just, what are your initial thoughts on how you think he'll do?
Well, I think Tiger's enjoying himself because he's kind of leaving everybody else wondering exactly what the condition of that knee is, which, well, you know, the fear of the unknown added to the fear of the known is something that's going to be in his back pocket. But it's hard to say. He hasn't walked 18 holes in competition since the Masters.
Yeah, he had his first practice round, I think, was just this past week, and he rode a cart. He
Right.
didn't even walk.
That's right, last Wednesday. And so we really won't know until we get into the probably the second or third round how his knee's going to hold up. But knowing Tiger, he wouldn't play unless he thought he had a 100% chance of winning. Whether he can shake off the rust, I guess you would say, is going to make it a very interesting first 36 holes with him being paired with Mickelson and Adam Scott in the same group.
Well, the one thing Tiger does have going for him is Torrey Pines has been pretty kind to him in the past. He has 6 wins at the course in the Buick Invitational. It's probably one of his favorite courses, I would have to think. How big of a difference, how big of a factor will that be, just his past success at the course?
Well, it'll be another mental edge for him. I mean, everybody expects him to play well. But add on top of that the fact that he's won those 6 PGA Tour events, including the one in January or February this year when he won by 8 shots at Torrey Pines. And, it's hard not to pick Tiger to win the tournament, but there's just that unknown factor out there. I don't think that he's going to win this one, but when I don't think he's going to win is usually when he does win, it seems like.
Well, one of the other guys you mentioned, probably the other favorite would be Phil Mickelson. They will be playing in the same group the first 2 days. Phil's played pretty well at Torrey Pines also, and it's also the course I believe he grew up playing. What do you think of Phil's chances? How do you think he's doing?
Well, I like Phil's chances a lot. Phil's won that Buick tournament 3 times. In 1993 is the first year he won it. That was the first PGA Tour victory in his career. And like Tiger, he's also won a lot of high school and junior golf tournaments there. And I think with all the focus being on Tiger to some degree, I think Phil will be just fine, and in fact that's who I'm picking to win.
Well, the one thing they'll both have to deal with is the U.S. Open setup. It's going to be a little bit different Torrey Pines, I think, than they're used to. The Torrey Pines this year is going to be the longest course in major championship history. It's going to play at over 7,500 yards, I think over 7,600 yards, and I mean that's a lot of course. I mean that's over 100 yards more than Medina was for the 2006 PGA Championship, which was the previous longest. There'll be long rough. It's going to be a tough test. How tough is this course going to be? How different will it be?
Well, it's going to come down to putting to a large degree. You can just imagine what the greens will be like on Sunday. But in the fairways for the U.S. Open are faster than most greens around Polk County golf courses. The better to run off into the rough with.
Yeah, there's probably a little more rough than Polk County golf courses as well.
But the interesting thing about Torrey Pines is that the 18th hole is a par 5, which that could be a
sets up a lot of possibilities to finish the round.
And it has water in front of it. It's 573 yards, reachable for a number of the players, and could certainly make it an interesting finish.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a few local players with some Polk County roots, Polk County connections playing. One is two-time Open champion Lee Jansen. He still has his exemption. Rocco Mediate, a former Florida Southern golfer, qualified through local qualifying. And then also Brad Bryant won last year's U.S. Senior Open. So we got three guys from Polk County playing in the tournament. How do you think they've got a chance? How do you think they'll do?
Well, I know Lee and Rocco, you know, they wouldn't be playing if they didn't think they could do well. And Lee typically plays difficult courses like that pretty well. You know, it'd certainly be a shock if he was to win. Rocco kind of sneaks in there and plays good every once in a while, U.S. Open. He's got two top tens in the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. You know, at Pinehurst in 2005, I think it was, he finished maybe tied for 6th. He just kind of comes out of nowhere and plays well on open courses. And Brad, he's probably just going to be enjoying the week as the senior Open champion. It's kind of his year as the senior Open champion is starting to draw to a close, and he's just soaking it all in.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the senior tour, just to cut over there real quick, Andy Bean from Lakeland's been having a pretty good season over on the Champions Tour. He's won the Regions Classic. He's currently 10th on the money list with almost $600,000 in winnings. What's been the key to his success this year?
Well, the last time I talked to Andy, he said he was looking for a driver. And judging by the way he's played the last 4 weeks, I think he must have found one. And he's also been putting very well. You know, of that $500,000 or $600,000 that he's won this year, about $450,000 of that has come within the last 4 weeks, or the last 4 tournaments. He's also putting very well, and he's always been a great long iron player. So I think he will contend on a regular basis the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think I saw he was 11th in putting this year, which, you know, I don't know, looking back, that's pretty good for him. You know, he's usually been pretty good driving the ball. And so if he's got his driver back now and he's putting this well, it could be a very good season for Andy.
Well, he's actually putted pretty well since he changed to the modified claw grip 2 years ago. He's been putting, you know, reasonably well since. And in his last tournament, he made a 26-footer on the 18th hole, which wasn't for the victory, but it put him into second place all by himself.
Yeah.
Earned him a few extra dollars.
Yeah, putting helps. Just to switch back to the U.S. Open, you said Phil is the guy you think can win it. Are there any other guys that stand out to you that have a good shot besides Tiger and Phil?
Well, Sergio Garcia is an interesting choice, but I just can't see him being able to putt those greens for 72 holes like he needs to. And I like Stewart Cink. Stewart's always a good U.S. Open player. If you'll go back and look, he's always in the top 10 or 20 finishers almost every time, and he's got a good history at Torrey Pines as well. And I think Trevor Immelman will play well, and Jeff Ogilvy.
Former champion. Interesting fact about Immelman that I found out, there's been one other USGA event held at Torrey Pines. That was the Pub Leagues Championship in 1998. Trevor Immelman beat Jason Duffner in the only other USGA event. So the Masters champion from 2008 has a little bit of USGA history on his side. One other guy that I think would have a pretty good chance is Justin Rose from England. He's number 6 in the world. He just finished 2nd in the Memorial. You know, I think he's got game. And people have picked him to be a major contender in the past, and it's just not quite happened yet. And this could be the week for him. But I think I'm with you. My heart says Tiger. I always like seeing Tiger win, but I think my head says Phil. Phil's the guy. He's playing really well. He likes Torrey Pines. I think that's probably going to be the way to go. But we'll see how it wraps up. It's going to be a fun week, to say the least. But we've come to the point in our show where we each have 30 seconds for one more thing. So you've got 30 seconds on the clock. What's on your mind?
Well, I just think it's really cool this week that Brad Bryant and his brother Bart are playing in the U.S. Open at the same time, 2 brothers playing in the tournament. Brad, of qualified, as we said earlier, by virtue of being the senior open champion, but Bart had to qualify through sectional qualifying at Columbus. But they're very close, and they're just going to absolutely savor, this week, being up there together and playing in the same tournament, which happens to be the U.S. Open.
That's not a bad way to spend some time with family. My one more thing, it's that time of year when football preseason magazines are coming out. I've got my Lindy's and Athlon college football previews. The Florida Gators are ranked #1 in the Athlon preview. My Missouri Tigers are #5 in Lindy's and 6 in Athlon, and it's just reminds you how the football seasons have become year-round. It never really ends, and before you know it, in a month from now, training camp will be started. So I'm already excited. I'm sure a lot of you guys are too for the start of college and pro football. It'll be right here before we know it. Well, that'll wrap up this edition of the 10-Minute Drill. Please come back to theledger.com and check us out next week. And the weeks to follow, we'll try to keep you entertained and continue to have some good conversation. Take care.